Welcome everyone, Joe with ECRM here at our vitamin, weight management, and sports nutrition session in Florida. And with me is Don from Vitamin World, who is one of the moderators of our roundtables. And his particular roundtable was on what's probably the hottest topic at this session was GLP-1s. So he had a table, 2 rounds of discussions with buyers and brands all around the topic. So we're going to hit some of those points. So thank you for moderating the roundtable.
Absolutely.
And to get started, what are some of the key points that they discussed?
Yeah, I just start off saying that we had a really good, lively panel on both sessions, represented, like you said, by brands, developers within the brands, and retailers. So I got a lot of good insights from all 3 categories. And one of the things we talked about was this trend. Very popular now, but is there any longevity to it, and is it here to stay? And I think we all agreed, both kind of citing Nielsen data as it currently stands with the 15 million household penetration, and of that, 36% of that being with weight loss, as opposed to the other percent being for diabetes.
Yeah, and I talked to Nielsen about that afterwards, and as far as it being here to stay, it's going to grow. They said that it's going to pretty much double over the next few years.
Absolutely. They said that at that penetration now, it is expected to double. You're correct.
And especially because I think it's going to become more accessible, and we already see it's becoming more accessible with the telemedicine and the compounding pharmacies that are offering lower costs.
Absolutely. And retailers are starting to put kind of a link to a service that can provide the product to them, direct to mail to them, without having to actually go to the pharmacy. And it would be like no inventory at the stores. It would be directly going from the fulfillment place to the consumer.
And now, in conjunction with that, you also mentioned that some of the discussion focused around how brands and developers and the retailers are kind of putting together like programs to address those side effects or anything to add on to those prescriptions.
Certainly. So we were looking at, I kind of led the discussion about, I looked at it like 2 categories of what a brand and retailer could do to kind of participate in this space. One of it is to develop maybe an alternative, a supplemental way. If you're not qualifying for a GLP-1 from your doctor, if you don't want to take the medication, if you can't afford it because it is cost prohibitive, what are some natural ways that you can achieve the weight loss experience? And the other side of it is, what can you do, because there are known side effects with the GLP-1 medication, and what can you do to kind of mitigate those side effects? So there are products, some brands were talking about some new products that they were working on to address symptoms such as nausea, gut health, nutrition deficiency, muscle loss. And retailers were like me, were looking at clever ways to kind of merchandise what we currently have in inventory to better merchandise and segment those, because we have things like probiotics for gut health. We have things like protein powders for muscle loss. So what can we do in the short term to kind of being able to offer those kind of products now while the trend is hot?
So kind of like repositioning them to, or not really that, but really communicating. It's like, look, we do have these things that address the symptoms already in-house. Here's what they are.
So I look at it as a better way to merchandise, putting everything under the umbrella of a GLP-1 support.
Gotcha. And there are some of the brands we've seen here that are already building kind of merchandisers to do that.
Absolutely. We had some people that are online retailers that have landing pages that kind of segment. It's a lot easier to do it digitally. But as a retailer that has brick and mortar presence, we're looking to build like a wall where we have a section that just says, on GLP-1, what's next?
Gotcha. Actually, that's pretty smart. That's a good way to do it. And I think education is going to be a really important part of this whole thing.
Agreed.
So now, you mentioned something before, and it's something that I've been hearing as well. So it sounds like there's a couple of groups, right? You have the group that's going to do the GLP-1s, and they need the support for it. But then you have a group that doesn't want to do them, but they want the benefits, the same kind of impact.
Right. I call it, they want the weight loss experience.
Yeah.
And they can do it through natural ways. There are ways, there's products like berberine out there which we internally among the industry insiders would call it the Nature's Ozempic, although we can't market it to that effect because we don't market drugs.
Yeah.
We are purely in supplements. And so there's products like that. There are fat burners, currently on the market. A lot of products that can increase metabolism naturally through natural means. So products like that, which you can still get the weight loss experience without having to do more. I don't want to call it extreme, but to do different measures to achieve that, that weight loss.
Gotcha. Did anything come up in the conversation that may have surprised you?
We talked a little bit about, one of the questions I asked was, are there any concerns or reservations about GLP-1s for weight loss? And when you look back to things like Fen-Phen, about 20 years ago, which was kind of the same kind of idea for weight loss, and then you would have adverse reports on heart attacks or heart issues, and the FDA then took it off the market. So it's one of those things, you experienced it once before, you got to look at it is there a potential for this happening with the GLP-1s? And a lot of people, we went back and forth on that conversation, but nobody sat there and had their hands up and everybody seemed to think that this is the FDA has given clearance for this particular purpose, and that if done correctly and under the guidance of medicine and medical professionals, that you should have a safe experience.
Well, time will tell. We'll see. But again, there's so much momentum behind it, and it looks like it's going to be here for a while. So before we wrap up, can you just tell everybody a little bit about Vitamin World?
Sure. Vitamin World's been a retailer in the VMS category for probably since the mid-'70s, so about 50 years old. We offer, again, health and wellness supplements. My goal is to have it to be a destination for all things health and wellness, for things for both the inside and the outside as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and for moderating the roundtable.
Absolutely.